the next beatitude talks about ambition. And the next attitude we see here in verse 6 is to be hungry. So Jesus is telling us to be hungry. Look at verse 6. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Now, we're going to start to build on this foundation, and we're going to ask ourselves the question of who we want to be. And the first question we're asking is targets our ambition. But it's targeting our ambition of the right sort, not of the wrong ambition. The right ambition seeks to honor, obey, and glorify God by partaking of his righteousness. And this holy ambition is in great contrast to the common ambitions of men to gratify their own lusts, accomplish their own goals, and satisfy their own egos. Now, listen, because this is where people always kind of like get a little bit off the rails here. It doesn't mean that you cannot be ambitious. It doesn't mean that you can't want to be successful. But it has to be in alignment, and it has to be behind the first priority, and that is being ambitious in the desire of hungering and thirsting for God's righteousness. The deepest desire of every person ought to be that hunger for righteousness. And this beatitude speaks of a strong desire, of a driving pursuit, of a passionate force inside our soul. And Jesus wants our primary ambition to be his righteousness. Now listen, he wants our primary ambition to be his righteousness. That doesn't mean we can't have other ambitions, but this needs to be first and foremost, and it needs to dictate all the rest. And listen, this is the only ambition that, when fulfilled, will bring you enduring happiness. Listen to the verse again. It says, verse 6, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Okay, let me stop right there. The word blessed means happy. You will be happy if you hunger and thirst for righteousness. You will be happy if your ambition is to be more like Jesus Christ, to have more of his Spirit in your life, to see the fruit growing, and for his gifts to be used in your life. You will be happy. But it's enduring. Because look at this. Verse 6, it says, for they shall be satisfied. When our ambitions are in the right alignment, not only are we happy, but we're satisfied. Now, I want you to see something here. I want you to see the contrast. I want you to see the paradox here, because all of these beatitudes are a paradox. Jesus says, hungry, if you hunger for my righteousness, you will be satisfied. If you're hungry, you'll be satisfied. Nobody's ever satisfied when they're hungry, right? And you're like, oh, I'm starving. Oh, but I feel good. No, we're the exact opposite. When we're hungry, we've developed a whole new name for it. We call ourselves hangry. Why? Because we're both hungry and angry at the same time. And we use it as an excuse, because if we're hungry, we just kind of use an excuse to treat people whatever way we want to. But Jesus says, happy are the hungry. A starving person has an all-consuming passion for food and water. Nothing else has an appeal or even the slightest attraction. Nothing can even get his attention except to satisfy his hunger. And we all know that. We all know that hunger. And we don't feel satisfied when we're hungry, and we don't feel happy. But Jesus is saying, if we are hungry for the righteousness of Jesus Christ, not only will we be happy, but we'll be satisfied. There should always be a hunger inside of our heart for the things that are right. There should always be a hunger and a drive and an ambition for the things of God in our lives. You see, that's when we're starting to see that we have the right attitude, because that starts to manifest itself on the outside. And John MacArthur says this. It says, the heart of every person in the world was created with a sense of inner emptiness and need. Yet apart from God, men do not recognize what the need is or how to satisfy it. And though God created men with a need for himself, they try to satisfy that need through lifeless gods of their own making. So let me recap that. All of us are created with this hunger inside of us. And you see, without God, we don't know how to satisfy. That's why you see people running all over the place, trying to do all these crazy things and trying to fill their whole life with, either career success or friends or relationships or hobbies or all these different things they're doing. They're going all over the place. I mean, all you need to do is open up the Instagram feed and you just see all these people. They're just searching. They want to just go do something. They want to be something they'll make them feel happy. And they have parents behind them that are pushing them. Why? Because you hear parents say their number one goal is like, well, whatever they do, I just want them to be happy. And so we almost push our children towards things that this pursuit of happiness, but we push them without God. And God says the only thing that's going to satisfy that hunger is Jesus Christ. Not the lifeless gods, not the pursuit of success or anything else. And the great thing is, if we seek the things of the Lord first, he will address the other areas. Listen, if you seek God first, if you put things in the right alignment, where our hunger and thirst for God is first and foremost, and then we put everything, family, career, all these, different goals behind that, God says that he will take care of them. Psalm 37 says he knows the desires of our heart. But listen to what Jesus says later on in the Sermon on the Mount. He says, but seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. He says, and all these things shall be added to you. If we try to put all those other things first and kind of sprinkle or season our life with the righteousness of Jesus Christ, it's going to be a life of frustration and constant stops and starts. But when we start by sowing the seeds of righteousness, and that's first, and we let everything else be dictated by that, God says, all these things shall be added to you. That's true happiness, and that's true satisfaction because the alignment is right. We need to start. Our first ambition should be for the hunger and the thirst for righteousness.